Hello everyone, Ellen Woodbridge here, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Australia. Thank you so much for supporting my Notes of Nature class this month, and this is my final card in my Notes of Nature. Now for this card, I'm abandoning the amazing dies and we are just going to use the stamp set to create this card. And even with just stamping, I am going to show you how to create some dimension. So just going through the colours that we're going to be using on the card, we are using grey granite, Night of Navy, Blackberry Bliss and Mossy Meadow. So I'm really loving adding that pop of colour in with the great neutrals that I've been doing in this class. So stamp set, I am all prepared and I have mounted all of my stamps, and I've got our Mossy Meadow card base ready, and I'm starting all of our stamping with a card front that is basic white. So just our normal cardstock, not the thick, just our normal. Now I am going to need a scrap piece of paper for this because I'm going to be stamping off the edges. It just keeps my glass mat a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to be starting with our grey granite ink, and I'm going to be using our Field Notes stamp as well as our grid stamp. So I think I'm going to start with our Field Notes, and this is on just a bit of a larger block here, just so then I can see my corners and get this as straight as I can. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect. So I'm doing a full stamping at the top and stamping off at the bottom. So getting full use out of one inking. And I'm going to reverse this for the bottom. I'm going to do a full stamping at the bottom, and I'm going to do stamping off at the top. So one stamping, two ink colors. So that has created my base for everything else I'm going to be putting in. Now I'm finished with this, so I'm just going to close it because I'll be using quite a few ink pads. So next I want to go in with my leaf. Now that I've got the points where I want my leaf to go from, I'm going to go in with my leaf. Now because I am using Stampin' Blends on my leaf, I'm going to be using the matching Memento ink. Now this ink does not bleed when we use the alcohol markers, which are Stampin' Blends. So let me pop this one here. Nice. And then there are also a couple of our normal ink pads that also don't bleed. Grey granite is one of them. Pop this at the bottom, then I've got room in the middle to stamp my sentiment. Okay, that is out of the way. Next, I think I'm going to come in with our little sprig. So, oops, I've used this as a bit of a background stamp in card 2, and it's going to have a little bit more of a standout role in this card. Sorry, perfect. So this one's kind of going to come out from here there, and then I'm going to bring it in from the top here. So just creating all those beautiful layers, and I think I'm even going to stamp one off there. So I am using these at full strength, but if I feel like I need a little bit more, I can stamp it off. So I'm just coming into, and I'm going to do that right here and just add that stamped off one in between, just to create a little bit more. So every time I do this card, I do it a little bit different. While I have my Blackberry Bliss out, I am going to stamp my sentiments. So for my first card, just a little note to say hello. For the second card, today is all about you. Happy birthday. Now, pray. Yay! Great! Awesome! There. Oh, I'm so happy with that. Okay, so finished with this. Where did I put my scissors? If anyone... they're under my ink pads. I love how we always misplace things in plain sight on our craft tests. It's amazing how it happens. So our final stamping, we are going to use Night of Navy, and we're going to use the splatters. I'm actually going to miss these splatters when, unfortunately, this set retires. So I'm just coming in here and going full strength. I could have done stamped off, but that's okay. It will dry back, and do be careful because I did just smudge that. Okay, now stamp off. I'm going to do a little piece down here and then a little bit coming in here and a piece there. Just looking, I've got more going on at the top and less going on at the bottom, but I think I would like just some stamped off splatters there and possibly the same there. I haven't re-inked this at all. This is the colour that just keeps on giving because it is so dark. And I have recently re-inked it, so I've got less saturation on my original and more saturation on the card we are doing now. Now I'm going to let all of those colours dry before I add, and it will be my last bit. I do have some blending that, and I'm going to leave it here so I remember with the ink pad. Otherwise, I will be likely to forget. So I don't need that piece of paper anymore. So I'm now going to concentrate on our leaves. Now, using both light and dark in our mossy meadow, which we're going to bring in again in our card base. So what I do, I come in with my light and I just colour all my leaves in. Now it doesn't matter that I've got other stamped images underneath. They will definitely fade into the background with what we are going to do. So I'm just going to do one leaf at a time, just because I like to go back onto slightly wet ink, except I don't want to use the brush end. I do want to use the bullet end. Okay, so like card number 2, I'm just going to go along all of these lines. Sorry, card number 1. We're going to go along all the lines. With card number 2, I concentrated all of my colouring on the base of the leaf for a totally different look. So for here, I'm just going a little more realistic. Once again, going along all those lines that the artist gave us when she created this image. Now, I always say singular artists, but I'm sure at times there are multiple artists that do work on stamp sets. But normally when Stampin' Up! Do show things, I'm just going in now and just grabbing these spots that I missed. I mean, not terribly bad, but I do just want to grab them. Now, if I wanted to, let's see how precise my hand can be. I can go and do the stem. Now, while I've got this in my hand, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to do our second leaf. I did go a little bit out of the lines, but in the whole scheme of things, it doesn't matter because I am kind of outlining about half of each leaf at the very end. And I am not the most precise colorist in the world. And look, I'm always still very happy on how things turn out. So it must be the imperfection that makes it work. Hey, that's what I'm sticking to anyway. Okay, using our bullet end again and just grabbing all of those pieces. Details. Nice. And they do settle down a bit. They don't stay so bold. I know a lot of people get very scared when they put their ink down and go, it's too dark. It's like, go with the process. And if you still find it too dark, we can always go over it with the light to soften down those lines. So that is always a possibility, and you've just got to give it time. Doing things on a bit of an odd angle here, but hey, it's working. Okay, so satisfied with my leaves. So I'm going to show you the difference in the leaves. So currently I haven't added any shadowing to the card we're making now. So you can see the difference that this is still quite flat, no dimension, but by adding shadowing, I have made it quite dimensional. So you can kind of have the choice whether you use light or dark smoky slate. I'm going to go in with the light, and I am going to use the bullet end and see how I go. I can always, I went a bit too wide there, but that's okay. I can always add in more. And I can always go in darker. So I'm kind of just getting under each leaf, and this is great for hiding all of that out of the lines bit that I got. Okay, coming in here. Now your shadowing doesn't have to be like super realistic, but as long as like you're creating the illusion of a shadow, that's awesome. See, I'm going to put a shadow kind of both sides there and just a little bit under there. So now you can see the difference between the two. This hasn't dried off yet, it hasn't settled, but we shall now just go in under here So it's not precise, or should I say I'm not precise, but it's just creating that illusion. Now we do have a few bits and pieces that aren't absolutely perfect on this card, and that is totally okay. So I'm just going to come in halfway down and then on the tip here just to create that shadowing. Great. I'm actually really quite happy with that. Just going to go down the stem there. Okay. So you can see here, we've just created that shadow, and they like now pop off the stamped card front. Okay, last bit on this card front before we assemble the card is a little bit of blending on the corners. So I'm going to take it really, really light, because when I've made this card before, I've gone in way too dark. So, and thing is, you can go in really light, and then you, as the ink comes off your brush, you can go in a bit more heavy-handed. Okay, just having a look here. You can see just by adding that colour, it kind of blends all of those colours together. So just coming down and across a bit, and here, and a bit up here. Great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, because I have ink on my mat, but I do absolutely love blending on my mat because it creates a beautiful smooth surface and moves the ink so beautifully. I am just going to spray a little bit of water. I have a microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to clean up my surface. So super duper easy. Okay, that is now all nice and dry. I'm going to bring in my Mossy Meadow card base, and if you were my bone folder, where would you be living? Right here under all of my used stamps, of course. Just give that fold a wonderful burnish. I do like to pre-score my card fronts. It prevents any cracking in the cardstock when we fold it, and then all you have to do is give it a burnish and it sits perfectly. So just going to pop down some glue and pop down the card front, and then you have the choice to embellish or not to embellish. I mean, the answer for me is always to embellish, and I will show you the gems that I have used. So these don't go with the kit. The cork ones do go with, not the kit, sorry, the collection. The cork ones do go with the collection, but because I chose the it's not even berry, it is berry, but it's blackberry. So we've got the purple fine shimmer gems. So we've got Blackberry Bliss, Gorgeous Grape, or Highland Heather. And I thought just using a small cluster of the blackberry just down here. Well, I think because I've got, I don't need my blade, wrong end. Don't want to stab myself. I kind of, because I've got some dots here, and I've used a longer sentiment. I kind of want them here, and just 3 will do. So I'll pop one there. I think one down here. No, yeah, one down here. Yep, just go for it. Don't think, do. And then just one up here, and that is my card done. But of course you don't need to add the embellishments, or you could add some totally different embellishments. So these are both versions of my card. They're quite similar, but they're not exactly the same. So that is just using the images in the Notes of Nature stamp set. So I'll point out, I've got a cord in the way and everything. So I used the field notes, I used the grid, I used the splatter, and I've used both the sprig and the full leaf. And then of course in both the cards I've used both the sentiments. So in all 3 cards, the only image we didn't use was this little flower here. So I'm quite proud of myself. And this was card 3 that we used. I will go through the colours that we used. We used grey granite, blackberry bliss, night of navy, smoky slate, and a touch of mossy meadow and a touch of smoky slate. So I do hope you've enjoyed my 3rd card, and I do hope to see you in my other cards. If you make your own version of this, please share it on my VIP group, or the link to that is in the description box. If this is your final stop on my Notes of Nature cards, thank you so much for supporting me. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in my next class. Thank you. Bye.